you want to move your life forward in the most positive way using astrology, then let's talk about the astrological patterns for September 2021. The month begins with Mars in opposition to Neptune. It's exact on September 2nd, but it was very active the week before that. And fascinatingly, today, as I record this video, Hurricane Ida is making landfall in Louisiana, in the southern part of the United States. And it's a Category 4, bringing flooding and massive rainfall. It is quite interesting to me that Neptune is often associated with floodings, especially when Neptune is in Pisces, which is a water sign. Next, in September, the big moment is when we have the new moon in Virgo. And that new moon in Virgo sets up a very powerful pattern because at the same time we have Venus in Libra squaring Pluto. And anytime we have an inner planet interacting with Pluto for a sustained period of time, we're going to have something having to do with power structures come up to the surface. Pluto in Capricorn has been working to change power structures, to unearth them, to have a major shift in power. And interestingly enough, when Saturn and Pluto were conjunct last year in 2020, COVID presented itself and we had such a huge shift all over the world. So when I see an inner planet activating Pluto, then I know that there's the potential for more coming to the surface about COVID. Now, this could be something about the treatment. It could be another variant. Let's hope for the best. The reason I'm mentioning this is because at that new moon, that transit Venus to Pluto is very quick. Later in the year, from November to March, we're going to have Venus in Capricorn going retrograde, interacting with Pluto for a long period of time. September is the month when Mercury goes into retrograde, and it's going to go retrograde at 25 degrees Libra, which activates Pluto. Speaking of Pluto involvement, the next thing we have on September 15th is Mars entering Libra, and it's going to head to the square with Pluto. That's not until October, but it starts to get involved, and it gets involved with Mercury in Libra. Now on the 15th, Mercury is not retrograde yet, but the two are beginning to work together. And we have again, what needs to come up on the world stage regarding power and with the COVID virus will be very, very strong. By the way, if you have planets or angles in your natal chart in a cardinal sign, particularly from 20 to 29 degrees, in that range, you're going to be feeling this very, very strongly, specifically if you have planets at 24, 25, or 26 degrees of a cardinal sign. This is your time to come into power and potential that needs to come to the surface. But for the world, we're all going to be dealing with some pretty potent energies, and we're going to need to breathe. Next, we have the full moon in Pisces on the 20th. And at that time, Mercury in Libra will be squared to Pluto. So we begin this very, very dynamic period. And then on the 27th, Mercury goes into retrograde phase at 25 degrees Libra, which is square Pluto. So again and again and again, we have that activation of something in the world, something in our consciousness, something about power that needs to deconstruct, that needs to be reborn, that needs to transform. We can do this personally with empowering ourselves and by maintaining a conscious control of our state of mind. But be prepared because there's a lot of energy that's going to be swirling around us, a lot of news, a lot of intensity, and it is our job to stay in balance. So to summarize the astrological patterns for September, just remember the new moon in Virgo, and at that same time, Venus is square Pluto, so we have that Pluto activation. Mid-month, we have Mars going into Libra. That's that world stage moment. Something wants to become visible. And Mercury will be in Libra at that same time. It won't be retrograde yet. The 20th, we have the full moon in Pisces, And at that same time, Mercury begins the square with Pluto, turning retrograde on the 27th of September. So we have Pluto as a theme that flows through the entire month, and we get to look at our relationship with power. And we get to look at our relationship with ego, because ego and power tend to go together. And we get to really step into personal spiritual empowerment. Are you ready? I'm blessing you. I'm sending you love. Thank you. I'm Kathy Rose.